this specific transaction requires that I provide a proof of fund of 35 million. So not even financing or anything like that, just to show that I have the network around me or myself. I have 35 million. So that's been quite the challenge because I'm not there yet. And that goes to show that you need to start networking with the type of people that can help you achieve your goals. And right now I'm looking at achieving these goals. So I need to network with the right type of people. So that's another lesson I learned through this process.
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Quebec. And today we have a famous Quebec real estate investor. Hi, how are you doing, Rodrigo?
Hi, Axel. Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing good. I'm happy to be here with you today for a number of reasons. Because first of all, every time we chat, it's fun. And number two, to refresh everyone's memory, you were on the show about a year ago with several projects that you were wrapping up, including a fourplex in Brownsburg, a triplex in Laval. There's quite a few things that have happened since then. Obviously, we've been in touch and off the air and all that. And I really wanted you to come back on the show because I know you have so much to contribute and to share. So for everyone who's listening, today is going to be a gem. And so keep listening on. And just before we jump into it, I just want to remind everyone that your support is really appreciated. Please send me some feedback. Leave us a rating in Apple iTunes, in Spotify, or wherever you listen. It always goes far in helping us reach more people like yourself. So thank you very much. Now, Mr. Rodrigo Parada, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about yourself, Axel?
I'm doing good. I'm getting back into a bunch of recordings, the projects. The summer break is really over, and now going into it. And so, okay, a year ago when you were here, again, like you had the fourplex in Brownsburg, you were finishing the triplex in Laval des Rapides. I think you had a few other things on the go. Like, can you kind of fill us in on how those projects went, and then we'll jump into all the new stuff?
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, so as mentioned, last time I was on the podcast, I was finishing a conversion of a triplex to a fourplex in Brownsburg-Chatham. So that went very well. We finished the project, put in new tenants. We learned a lot through the process in terms of how to manage a project of that scale. But my biggest takeaway from that project was basically focusing on not working in my business, but on my business. So after we were done with the project, we started looking at putting in property management into our buildings, just to be able for us to liberate ourselves and focus on what's our strength with it, which is acquisitions. So we've put in a company since then, and I've been very happy with them. And that enabled me to get into the more important aspect of real estate for me right now, which is the networking. As for the triplex that I have in Laval des Rapides, we finished the renovations, and that was an amazing learning experience because initially the plan was to sell it because we were going to be able to get a pretty penny on it. But the market shifted, interest rates went up, and I wasn't able to get the price that I wanted initially. So I pivoted and just completed a refinance.
Oh, so I thought you had sold it.
No, I wasn't able to get the price that I wanted. So I decided just to get a bit of money, pay all my debts, and basically just move on and start acquiring more properties. So basically that confirmed to me that the most important thing for a real estate investor is the ability to pivot, to adapt to whatever's being thrown at us, whether it's the market, the asset that we're looking into and working on, and to always come out on top. Because at the end of the day, it's not a win or lose situation, it's a win or learn. And I feel that through this whole process, as you know, as tough as it was at certain point, I ended up getting, you know, what I wanted, which was knowledge and a nice return on my investment. And following that, and this is, I think, the most important thing that I can share with the audience today is after doing your podcast last year, I started networking.
Oh, how did that go?
It's been a game changer.
Yeah.
Nothing short of it. Like, I know that on this podcast, you promoted a lot that real estate is a people business, and Dino likes to talk about it, that you need to get out there and connect with as many people as you can, however you can. And being on this podcast and having that opportunity really opened up the floodgates for me. So that meant that I started going to networking events, shattering limiting beliefs that I didn't have anything to share with people, and just focusing on trying to be of value to the people around me that I was meeting, and building those relationships that, we can either do business together, or I can help you out in whatever you are doing at the moment and grow. And that has been like the biggest takeaway that I've gotten in the past year.
Nice.
So yeah, moving on to that, like that networking aspect got me to meet some very interesting individuals,
Mhm.
and I got introduced to different types of training programs and coaching and mentoring. And the
Okay.
one thing that I understood about real estate since I started listening to Bigger Pocket podcast way in 2015 was that it is necessary. It's a necessary step for you to grow, because at the end of the day, this is like a truth of life. You're either growing or you're dying. So you can get to a certain stage and you can get to a level of accomplishment, but if you really want to take it to the next level, you got to invest in yourself and you got to grow that network. So at the beginning of this year in 2022, I joined a mentorship program, and since then, my life has basically changed, because I was able to be exposed to bigger and better things, not necessarily because I was pursuing them, but it's just being in the right room with the right people, and you
Yeah.
start listening to the right things,
Yeah.
and that just changed your whole mindset.
Yeah, no, and that has a profound impact, and we get so much energy, as you said, from being in the room with all these other people, whether it's like an hour, one day, or one weekend, and you come out of there full of ideas, energized, and basically with a good kick in the butt in terms of motivation. So that always really helps. It may sound like a very generic question, but like, you talked about the coaching and all this. Like, in what ways do you feel like it helped you the most?
I would say that it helped me get past some limiting beliefs that I had.
Okay.
And for me, I think that I was able to realize that it might come from a cultural background where we don't necessarily allow ourselves to dream as big as we can potentially achieve. And that's what was the biggest, mindset shift for me. Because at the end of the day, like with real estate, through this vehicle, we are able to achieve big things.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily from a monetary standpoint, it's just the opportunities that we haven't presented to us, but that we can also create for the people around us. And that's always been one of my main motivating factors for doing this. Is I want to be able to provide for my family, my extended family, my friends, my network. And that's what I got out of it. So being able to go through that transformation into my identity, and not just being, an investor, but the investor for my network, helped me to secure more opportunities, to get out there and be more confident in who I am as a person, so I can start meeting more people and
Yeah.
not be, as shy as I was initially.
Mhm. Okay. And as you said, like, you're in that room full of people that are here, that have paid the same fee, basically, so they're worthy, and that are just as motivated, and it's extremely empowering. So you said, like, it's been a game changer and it changed your real estate investing life. What does that mean now? Like, what are you working on? Tell us a little bit of the story of, like, what does it look like now for you?
Well, okay, so currently, based on what I was able to do in the past few months with my training, with my coaching, and also my networking, I started investing in different markets in Quebec. So I started looking into Shawinigan. I started looking into Trois-Rivières. I had a deal under contract in Trois-Rivières that I had to let go maybe 2-3 weeks ago because we couldn't agree on a price. But I've met some amazing meetings, and I've met some incredible people through the process, and not necessarily just locally, but
Mhm.
in terms of financing, lenders, appraisers, just everybody who gravitates around real estate.
Yeah.
That was a biggest takeaway. So right now I have a 15 unit portfolio under contract in Shawinigan. Through this time, I was able to purchase 19 units in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Oh,
So I was
really?
able, Yes, I was able to go outside of the province,
Nice.
and I'm currently looking at putting an offer on two buildings in Alberta, a 38 unit and an 18 unit. And I'm doing a walkthrough tomorrow of a 20 unit in Oka, right here in the province, because you can't just forego Quebec. And my biggest thing that I'm working on, and my most challenging thing that I'm currently working on, is I was approached to put an offer on a 500 unit portfolio right here in Montreal. So that's something that,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
let's
whoa, whoa,
just,
whoa, whoa.
yeah, it's
Whoa,
been
whoa,
quite
whoa,
the
whoa. We're
challenge.
gonna have to talk about that. You just dropped the bomb like that, like a 28 unit and a 30 and a 16 unit, and then I just made an offer on a 500 unit portfolio. Okay, we have to unpack this.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll be my pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, just finish about your investing in Quebec, and then we'll go through that. That's a big question.
Well, that's basically it. So I have all these projects going on, but this big one that I'm currently working on is the 500,
Mhm.
mainly because of what it entails and also the requirements. But if you want, I can
Well,
dig
sure.
deeper
So
to
because
where.
you started by saying that, like, oh, like you were approached to make an offer. So that, is it someone with capital who's like, hey, this could be of interest. Like, could you package it for us? Like, what's the story behind that?
So the story behind it is another confirmation of what we were talking about earlier, that this is a people's business.
Yeah.
So over the past year, I've been going to lunches for coffee with different investors, prospectors, uh, people that gravitate in real estate. And this opportunity came to me from a prospector that I have in my network. So again, people out there, start networking, because you never know where things are going to take you. So I was called a couple of weeks ago saying, are you interested in potentially looking at this opportunity because it's a 500 unit? And in my mind, I just said yes. I just said, why not? What's the
Yeah.
worst that can happen? So we started talking with the realtors. I got to know a bit about the portfolio. It's an amazing opportunity because it's 11 buildings, sorry, in Montreal, and in different neighborhoods, and all neighborhoods that I either lived in or I grew up in. So
Okay.
that's
There's
there's a
attachment.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would, my goal once I go through with this project is to bring pride back
Yeah.
to the areas, because that's something I think is very important. But so yeah, so basically this prospector came to me. We put on an offer into it, and the challenge that we're currently going through is that this specific transaction requires that I provide a proof of fund of 35 million. So not even financing or anything like that, just to show
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I have the network around me or myself. I
Yeah.
have 35 million. So that's been quite the challenge because I'm not there yet. And that goes to show that you need to start networking with the type of people that can help you achieve your goals. And right now, I'm looking at achieving these goals. So I need to network with the right type of people. So that's another lesson I learned through this process.
For sure. Anyway, just to go back to the proof of funds, so 35 million, let's say that's like just under half of the price. I'm assuming it's like, and then you would go and get financing. Like, I've never been in that situation. Like, how do you go and find a proof of funds for 35 million? You just go to
So base
RBC?
no. It's just networking at this
Uh,
point. It's finding the right people that have those funds and they can show it. And one strategy, sorry, that I've been doing is basically just offering some equity in the deal just for
yeah.
them to get in. And then once we have it on the contract, then we start looking, once we've done our due diligence, to the financing and what we're able to achieve in
Yeah.
terms of structuring the deal. But, at this point, the one thing that I want everybody to be aware of is that you can go after these deals. You don't have to think that it's for somebody else. You can at least, it's like swing for the ball and swing for the fences. That's what it's all about. And you learn through your process. And if I can share something with people, is that this deal is also confirming something that I've had in my mind, and I think that all investors should now be aware of, is the principle of OPD, which is other people deal. So we
Other
know
people's
about,
deals.
yeah, we
Yeah.
know about OPC, we know about OPM,
What's
but now
OPC?
other people's credit. So
Other
you
people's
partner up.
credit, other people's money, and other people's deals.
Yes,
Okay.
because the one thing that I'm learning is by having a deal this big, you attract
Yeah.
people that have more experience than you, and you're able to leverage the deal to bring in that experience and to grow at the same time, because it's not about just the monetary or the transaction, it's how we grow as individuals and as teams. And that's one thing that I'm really, really, really appreciating about this whole process.
Yeah, no, you're right. And when you start to work on a deal this size, as you said, you bring people from another caliber, and that pulls you up much faster than you would have just keep working on your fourplexes. No offense to fourplexes, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, that's it. And like it's just, again, it goes back to positioning yourself with the right mindset that you can't really fail. You have to, either you win what you want, or you're going to learn from your experiences. It's not a failure or a mistake. It's not the end of the world. It's an opportunity to learn and to grow and to move on. And at the end of the day, the more you do this, the more you're going to be, generating that callus, right? Whenever you start something, you don't have that resistance. You don't have that grit or that endurance to go through the process. But the more and more that you expose yourself to these situations where you don't have a choice but to grow, you become that person. Yeah. And that's what I want to share with the audience. It's really, that's the most important thing since the last time I've been on this podcast.
Okay, and that kind of sums it up, because that was going to be my question. Like a year ago, you were buying triplex and fourplexes. Now you have an offer on a 500 unit portfolio. Like there's something that happened in between, and it's obviously it's not really about the deals, and it's not about the technical. We know it's like 80% in the head and the mindset. And you've talked about how the coaching and hanging out with the right people has been a huge accelerator for you. Like, is there something different that you're doing in your life to blindly jump into those opportunities?
It's really, yes, I would say it's connecting on a daily basis with fellow investors, with my mentor, with my coach, so that it's a constant work in progress. We're working on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And I need to work on myself to become the individual that I'm aspiring to be, and that can take on these opportunities. And that's a reality of life. Like, the work is never done. Anybody that thinks otherwise is just lying to themselves. So it's the realization, the acceptance of that truth, so that it doesn't become something, like you're negative about it, but you accept it and you take it as your own, and you move on, right? That would be the major difference.
Yeah. Wow. And so I want to go back to that 500 unit deal. Like, so you have an accepted offer right now, or is it conditional on you providing a proof of funds?
Conditional on the proof of funds. So we have access to some documents of the underwriting. So I've done that. I already have my investor package. I'm ready to go once we get that document. So yeah, that's really the only thing that's missing. Such a small thing.
Just such a small thing. Is this like a one-page document? Come on.
That's it. Or it's a print screen of a bank account,
Yeah. Gee.
Yeah.
Well, if there's anyone listening who could provide a proof of funds for Rodrigo, please get in touch with me or with him. I'll make sure like it gets to you. Yeah.
I truly appreciate that, because like, to me, this is just the start. I was fortunate enough earlier this year with other partners. We did a walkthrough of 1,000 units in Montreal.
Wow.
So that
but you didn't walk 1,000 units.
No. We did the walkthrough of like the towers that contain those 1,000 units. It's two complexes. And
do you mind sharing which one it is, or?
I don't think I can.
Okay.
And yeah, but if everybody wants to know, we can reach out, talk. It's fun.
Yeah.
But so by doing that process, that basically confirmed a few things in my mind. One, that I'm at the right place. Yeah. I can be in that room and talk numbers and look at those portfolios, because at the end of the day, it's just more zeros on a number. And once you start doing walkthroughs of these bigger multiplexes, a boiler is a boiler.
Yeah, exactly.
All the utilities are going to be the same.
Yeah.
So once you get used to it, it just becomes second nature, So that intimidating factor kind of goes away, and you become in your element. You become that person that's just able to swim in those waters, and it's not that intimidating. So that kind of paved the way for me to be able to talk about this opportunity that I'm involved in and not be intimidated, and just go for it.
And as you
Yeah.
said, like boiler is a boiler, it's just a bigger boiler, and there's just more zeros. It's just like a lot of us, and sometimes I'll include myself in this. Like I look at deals, I'm like, nah, it's too big. I can't do this for now. And that's a completely ridiculous limiting belief. I can, and I just need to go and raise more capital. I just need to find more partners. I just need to put it together. But you're right. Like by the time you close a fourplex or you close a 24 unit, it's the same amount of work.
Yeah. And one thing that really helped me out was I read this book in the past few months called Who Not How.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me was like another game changer, because in that case, when we did the walkthrough, we brought somebody with us that had the experience, that was a property manager in Ontario of, I think, over 600 units in a portfolio. So I don't need to know all the details
Yeah.
about a specific boiler or how an electrical room should be set up or what's optimal or not. But if I have the person with me, then I can refer to them, and I'm confident that I'm moving forward with the right information instead of just assuming, right? Because we
Yeah.
all know what assuming does.
Yeah. Makes it an ass of you and me.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So
Uh,
yeah, so again, like it's just seriously, it's just mindset shifts, like
yeah.
focusing on the team, putting people around you that you allow them to have a position where they can grow and they can share in the success and in the tasks, and focusing on your strengths. Double down on your strengths. Don't try to be a jack of all trade. Go hard on what you're good at,
Mm-hmm.
and leverage the stuff that you're not good at, so you can focus on being the awesome version of yourself.
Exactly. The first rate version of yourself and a second rate version of somebody else.
That's it. Exactly.
You also mentioned you're in the process of acquiring some properties in Shawinigan, and I know it's something that you've told me a little bit in the past, and there's some redevelopment opportunity over there. Can you tell us a little bit more about the deal?
Yeah. So it's 4 buildings. 3 of them are actually zoned for 8 units. And they're a duplex, a triplex, and a fourplex. So the angle that we're going to try to work on is basically just purchasing the assets, ensuring that we get all the paperwork, the surveys, the plans, all that going, and then deciding once we have everything, a nice little neat document ready, we decide if we go through with a project or if you want to sell it off to somebody else. And that's another strategy that I was able to be exposed to in this past year, which some people call flipping the paper.
Yeah.
So that would be my plan.
So what does that mean, flipping the paper? I understand it and you understand it, but for those who are listening who may not know it, what kind of strategy is that?
So basically, you do all the legwork. You purchase the property, you work with the city, you get all the permits, you get all the surveys, you get all the plans. Ideally, you work with a local contractor that's going to be able to take on the project if you don't want to. You reverse engineer how much money they would make if they would take on this project. And then once you have everything ready, so you just need to go forward and hire someone if you want to do it yourself, you either sell it to somebody that's willing to take it on at an agreed price, or you end up doing it yourself. So I think that from my standpoint, it would be a great learning opportunity because I've never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
I would surround myself with the right people, and it would give me another exit through this opportunity. So it's not just, the usual, we buy, we rehab, we try to increase the rents, and then we refinance in a couple of years, depending on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that we had a hike today because we're September 7th. So
yep,
that's gonna
another 75 basis points.
Yeah. So again, like it's another opportunity for us investors to pivot and adapt to what's being thrown at us. So this strategy is something that I'm going to be looking to implement if ever we go forward with the acquisition of this portfolio.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Flipping the paper. I like it.
Yeah, just another one, because at the end of the day, initially I saw myself more as a cash flow investor, like let's say before I started meeting new people, but I think that's we're doing a disservice to ourselves, including myself, by thinking that way, because you're not a one-trick pony, and real estate investing is not a one strategy approach. You could do flips, you could do smaller multifamily, you could do
You're a Swiss Army knife. Yeah,
that's it. If you're aware of all the different strategies, then you look at different opportunities from different lenses, and that enables you to always, like as we like to say in French, presser le citron.
Yeah,
the most, and I really, really, really value that knowledge that I've acquired in the past year, because I'm just better off doing it that way.
Absolutely. And it's just that you just have more tools to your tool belt, and now you can deal with more situations that come up to you.
Yeah, that's it. So, it just goes back to making sure that you're the investor and not just an investor through your network. You have more opportunities for your partners and for whoever comes along and works with you on deals, and you're not stuck. Depending on the market, whatever the market ends up doing, you have multiple exit strategies. Because at the end of the day, again, it's win or learn. It's not win or lose.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, full of wisdom. I knew it. Full of wisdom.
I try. Like I said, I mean, the life works in mysterious ways. You get what you want out of it and what you put in. So, even hardships are just opportunities to grow and to learn. And that's the thing that, talking to investors on a daily basis and going to networking events has brought to me, because, I like to say that we all have this little flame inside of us. And whenever we talk to someone, a like-minded individual that's doing the same thing, our flames grow bigger, and we're bigger going forward. Because let's be real, like a lot of what's real estate investing is either negative or it brings you down, because you're being told no all the time. You think that something's going to work out, and then it doesn't, or it doesn't the way that you expected. So it's important to surround yourself with people that are going to help you bring yourself up. And it's not necessarily by just sharing the good stuff. I think it's by sharing what goes bad,
the reality
of it. And I know that you've been doing on the podcast, and I truly appreciate it, because that's what it's all about. Like going through the hardships and growing and sharing that knowledge, because you don't know what somebody else is going through, and maybe they need to hear this. And that's what I'm all about. Like, I'm in a position of servitude. I'm here to help, however it is. If it means that I need to share my winning strategies, I'll do it gladly. If it means that I need to share about the stuff that didn't go well, I'll do that, even with more
enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. I'll be more hyped about it, because that's the real knowledge.
We learn more from our failures than from our successes. So it's important to reflect and take the time to debrief and say what worked, what didn't work, and why, and what will I do differently, and so on and so forth. It's like the high performers in sports. They always debrief, but sometimes we don't always do it after deals go bad.
Yeah. And also, thank you for having said that, because my mentor told me something, and that got me like convinced on the coaching part, because you're always on the fence, right? When somebody approaches you, like, oh, am I going to spend that much money on myself, on my coaching, blah, blah. But he just mentioned like, hey, Michael Jordan had a coach. But the amateur player that's playing at the court doesn't. So are you Michael Jordan, or are you the guy just playing at the park? And I am Jay.
Well said. Well said. On this note, Rodrigo, if people want to find out more about you, how can they? What's the best way for them to reach out?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook. So Instagram, Rodrigo_@Astra. Facebook, I think it's my name, Rodrigo Parada. And I reply to every DMs. I'm fully on board with talking to people online, getting on Zoom calls, just hearing about their stories, sharing mine, and seeing how we can help each other.
Good, perfect. And I know you've always been very generous and very giving, and I don't doubt one second that some will reach out to you and you'll take the time to see how you can help them. So thank you very much for today's conversation, man. It's I'm very, very happy for you. I'm proud of you for everything that you're doing. Keep going and you'll go far.
Thank you, Axel. And thank you for the opportunity. I think that this is an amazing venue for people to share their stories, and I look forward to your growth also.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rodrigo. To everyone listening, again, thank you for tuning in today. Share this episode with a friend who could benefit from this very motivational conversation with Rodrigo. And in the meantime, go make some offers, go research your market, and I'll talk to you next week. Peace out.